I'm going on holiday soon, and I didn't want to risk damaging any of my dive watches, so I had a look around and this used but very good one popped up at a very reasonable price. It's the Proxima PX1711-1A, and I think this is the first review on YouTube of this exact model. Now there are plenty of the PX1711, but the 1A has got a few differences. A bubble dome sapphire crystal, different dial colours and textures, and an on-the-fly clasp, all of which I'll get to soon. I'm now going to say without prejudice or payment, this is an absolute beaut, so stay with me. Now whilst it certainly takes inspiration from a famous watch, there are certain differences which makes it not a like-for-like homage, and these are the differences I can see so far. Although the indices and hands are similar, the dial background is very different. The case and the case back are different, the bracelet is completely different, and most importantly, the bezel's actually different. Now if you want a watch that looks more similar to the Surica, consider the X-Down eye-pose version. I've had a few Proxima watches in the past, and whilst they fall a little bit short of say a San Martin, they tend to represent very good value for money. And this certainly isn't any different. Buy one of these on AliExpress and it was going to cost you around about £200 at the moment. Go direct to the Proxima site and they're currently $168 or £125. Of course, don't forget to build in taxes depending on the country you reside. The fact it's so cheap on their own site at the moment makes me think they may be clearing them out, because at that price it's a real bargain. For what it's worth, I picked this good used one up from eBay for a very reasonable price. The packaging does the job, but it's far from luxurious. It's a hard plastic box lined with foam, and inside it would originally have had a fabric bag, a screwdriver for the links, and a 2-year warranty. Perhaps it's time for Proxima to update their packaging, but who am I to complain? So these are my measurements. The case is bang on 39mm, the lug width is 20mm, and the depth, including a box sapphire crystal with AR coating, is 11.8mm, although it looks even slimmer, and the lug to lug is 44.7mm. Now once adjusted to fit my 17cm wrist, it weighs in about 127 grams, which is about average for what I consider as a skin diver. Now in my opinion, the watch wears more like a 38mm watch, which suits me perfectly. Originally you had a choice between a Sellita SW200 or the PT5000 inside. Both are legal clones of the ETA 2824. The differences being is the Sellita is Swiss made and the PT5000 being made by Hong Kong Industries. The early PT5000 movements had a few lubrication issues, but I think it's fair to say they're sorted now. The only option now is the PT5000, because I suspect few people wanted to pay about twice the price for the Sellita. It's a 4Hz movement, which means it ticks away at 28,800 beats per hour, it hacks and hand winds, it's got a bi-directional rotor, and it's got a power reserve of 38 hours. These have got excellent positional variance, meaning they're very accurate if they're regulated correctly. And if they aren't, well, it's very easy to regulate yourself. Let's see how this one's performing. And there we are. Doesn't matter how much you spend on a watch, it doesn't really get much better than this. I can tell you over a period of 2 days I wore this watch and it didn't actually gain or lose a second. So on the time grapher we've got a great beat hour, very good amplitude and a terrific rate. The embossed 6.5mm crown is well knurled and it screws down to aid the watch's claimed 200 metres of water resistance. Engagement is good and believe it or not, screwing in experience is buttery smooth, just like a luxury watch. Now that's hard to believe at this price, but honestly it's true. Worth noting, this does have a ghost position. Now that isn't something that bothers me, but I know other people do struggle to live with it. Now like the ETA 2824 and Sellita version of this movement, I strongly suggest you don't give it a lot of hand winding, as it isn't a great fan of that and it may shorten the movement's lifespan. Just give it a few slow hand winds, shake it for a minute or so, and you're good to go. So where this very much differs to the original is the bracelet. The Surica has a Milanese version, whilst Proxima decided to put on a pretty traditional 3-link oyster style. You also get a few half links, so getting a good fit is actually a piece of cake. It's got solid female end links that fit well to the case, although not perfectly, quick release spring bars and screws for adjustment. Now it tapers down from 20mm to 16mm, then back up to 18mm for the clasp. For a watch of this price, it's nicely put together and it's extremely comfortable. Now here are a few pictures of what it may look like on a strap if you decide to do something else. The earlier models had a 4 micro adjustment clasp. Now the newer ones have got an on the fly clasp, and that's a nice little extra. It's milled, it's all brushed, but it's not signed. Now that isn't a big issue, but I suppose they have to make a few cuts somewhere. Now when this arrived it did have a few minor scratches, but a minute with a green scouring pad and it's back to perfect. Moving on to the dial. This particular model now comes with the orange sand dune finish, but it also comes in white. The earlier models had different colour options. The handset is similar to the original, but the Sirica has got painted reverse lollipop indices, while the Proxima has got applied ones with chrome surrounds. So yet another difference I didn't mention earlier. Like the original, there's no branding as such, and it simply reads 200 metres and automatic above the 6 o'clock. All the indices and hands are filled with BGW9 loom, and to be fair it's a pretty reasonable application, although not brilliant. It can't keep up with a few of my divers, but I've worn it to bed and it's legible for about half the night. All in all, I can't say it's poor, but it isn't the watch's strength either. Whilst the loom bezel is quite different to the Sirica, there is a resemblance. Now the outer part is what looks like polished ceramic and the inner part is stainless steel. The inner part gives you the opportunity to set it as a second time zone, but the outer part is for diving purposes. Now it's not the grippiest bezel I've ever used, but it's not bad, and the knurling is excellent. It's a 120 click unidirectional bezel as you would expect, and the action is weighted perfectly, and it's quite pleasant to use, and what's more, it all appears to line out perfectly. Now have a little listen. So just the case to tell you about now. Well, the polishing and the finishing are actually very good. Now the tops of the lugs are vertically brushed, which then leads down to a highly polished transition to the sides. Now the sides themselves are double faceted, meaning there's a kind of 2 layers. The upper part is satin brushed and the lower part is polished. In fact, it isn't that dissimilar to the Christopher Ward light catcher case. On top of this, it's got a great curve, and the fit to the wrist, well, it's close to perfection. And just a quick wrist check, this is my watch of the day. It's the Zelos Sirica. The case back is of the exhibition variety, and believe it or not, you get a sapphire sandwich. Something some Swiss brands wouldn't give you even if you paid 4 times as much. It screws down to help the aforementioned 200 metres of water resistance, and it's got some basic information engraved around the outside. So what do I think of the Proxima PX1711-1A? So if you're one of the 3 people who are a fan of my channel, you all know that I'm a lover of value for money, and if you can pick one of these up for the $168 asking price, I can honestly say I don't think there's a better value for money dive watch out there. An excellent movement, a great case, a sapphire sandwich, a very good bracelet and on the fly clasp, and terrific looks, even if they aren't 100% original. My only minor complaints are the unsigned clasp and the lack of world-beating loom. But what the heck? Seriously, at this price, if you like it, just buy one. You won't have to sell a kidney or a child. You might just have to forego a night out with the lads. That brings me to the end of this review, so on the off chance you've gained any pleasure at all from watching it, please click on the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your comments below, because not many of you do. And enjoy the rest of your day.